Good evening and welcome to another session from the Wise Asylum. Sorry, I had to abort that first one. It didn't update, so there was no chat. And I thought, they're not going to like that. So we killed it and started again. So I don't know whether you came to that or not, or I catched it in time. So sorry about that interruption. It were all down to me. As usual. Anyway. Big Fibs and Other Antics of the Playpen is the title for tonight's stream, because it would appear a pandemic has affected the royal family. Nobody wants to be king anymore. Everybody's running off, and it's left to Beatrice. Odd. Andrew's daughter. And I've seen a video, and I did mention it a few weeks ago, of Beatrice looking like a robot, and I can't find it. I have searched ILO, and I thought I'd kept it somewhere, and I can't find it. So maybe they scrubbed it, because one would have expected that to be all over the internet this week, so maybe they took it off. But it clearly shows her not looking like a real critter. She looks like a robot. What are they up to? Or are they shifting us to AI? AI monarchy, or something like that. What do you think? It's just demented. The only one that's got it, that said that hasn't ruled himself out, is old Ginger Nuts from over there in California. Anne's ruled herself out. Edward can't do it. Kate's pretending to be ill. Charles is pretending to be ill. William has 4 million staff, but he has to do child minding and look after Kate, the fib teller. It's just a lot of fibs. So there's the title, fib telling. Lots of it. And are they sucking it up? I wonder. You never know, do you, what's going on today with people. They might be sucking that up and thinking, oh my word, what a terrible thing. Or you're going to get now the White Hats going, we are rounding them up and executing them. The bad guys have been shafted. I don't think so. Bad guys are all over Parliament at Chalker, Westminster. They're owning all the land. They call themselves the Privy Council. The Church of Spencer Churchill rather, which we'll have a look at in a minute, because we might be surprised as to who actually owns all this gig. And we'll look at that. Now, I did promise last week that we were going to go through this very, very important data in relation to the gap that was white honkies have removed from our history, and thus putting us at a rather disadvantage as we let go of a church that has clearly gone smack bang up its own bottom. That was a window of opportunity. They've done well in there, but now obviously we need to recoup. And remember, because otherwise it's just going to get ridiculously silly, because the playpen has been opened, unleashed, and we've got infants pouring out of every orifice, talking out of every orifice, and quite a lot of them appear to be in our politics. And that's worrying, especially the old Aggie Squeezer up there in Aggie Squeezer land. That man he looks like each time he speaks he's either on heroin, smack, crack cocaine, or he's just been buggered before he does his thingy, because his eyelids are down here like he's in pain. I would suggest he would be in pain, having a mentality at his level, in order, he believes people are going to suck this stuff up that he's pumping out there and not see like. So, I mean, it's quite ridiculous. But I mean, this week on that with the Royal, I mean, okay, so they're playing to a plan. We knew this was going to happen. They're playing to Nostradamus gig. Who's going to take the role? Is it going to be the Ginger Minch? And is Californian Imp? Can you imagine that? Piers Morgan would have an heart attack. Can you imagine that? So I don't know what's going on here, and I'm trying to keep track of it, but more importantly, I'm trying to work out how does this fettle with everything that Big Fat Fingers oath to, the book with the word human in it over 400 times now, which has never been seen in the Bible before, ever. But of course, for shifting it all into this no-hide, you have to be a human, a shade of man. It's not good, is it? It's just quite ridiculous. Watched an interesting video this afternoon, a Jewish lady explaining why The Jewish race keeps getting itself in this mess. And I have to say, what she said was, for me, I'd not heard anything like this before. But I have to say, after listening to it, she did make a lot of sense. But we'll not get into that. But anyway, so there's good things coming out. You know, in all areas. One lacking, and I've said this before. You know, for me, and people like me to speak about what's going on, try and present groups ideas so we can have a look, see if we like it or not. It's very difficult to do that with Islam, because right now all I can see out there, no matter where I go for the data, is negative. Aggression, calls for murder, and the ridiculous, going on to the ridiculous. So, is that the only voices coming out of Islam? Because that needs to change, doesn't it? You know, the Jews are coming. You've got a massive amount of moderate voices coming out of the Jewish communities. You've got every white uncle and his dog fapping on about how ridiculous this nonsense is, but there's just nothing but this bile coming out of people, let's say, that are claiming to represent Islam. Let's not besmirch a religion just because of the fruit bats. But it's worrying. I can't report things that are not there. You know, I can't. How can I possibly report stuff that's not there? I'd be inventing it then, wouldn't I? I'd be fake. It's like, I'm trying to keep a balance here of what's going on. And it's difficult, because the only stuff coming out from those guys isn't good. It's really not good. And further down the line, we're going to have to look at it, but I'd rather pull in some moderate voices in that arena so that Muslims themselves have something other than what they're having shoved down their throat in these business mosques. Anyway, that aside. JSM radio. The Muslims have lost the days. But it's not just Muslims, is it? Come on, I've said this many times. The only way we're going to get through this is that every single one of us as an individual, before you look at your group mind that you're involved with, as an individual level, you can see the timelines. You've had one, the book script. That caught so many people out, were unbelievable. Now you've got another one, the second horse. Timeline, pick a side. Now you can only pick a side if you are already, as a character, expressing your heart, or below the heart, the kingdom, the garden, you're going to join them timelines, because that's who you are. It's no good. And it's, all of us, as man, male, female, have to work out, who are we? Okay, so there was a book written over here 2,000 years ago. There was a book written over here, they say, 2,500 years ago. There's a book over here that were in... Okay, those were books written in the time. In fact, that's not even correct, because the Christian book, the Gospels, was written 300 odd years after, or pulled together as a canon, and the Quran was pulled together almost 300 years after the event. So the books, they were written for times past. And of course, a lot of the stuff that you'll find in them are very relevant for those times. Not necessarily everything within them now are relevant for these times. Because to follow it through that way, you're going to bring back those times in this ever-present moment. Because that's all we've got. You know, you're either living in the past or you're projecting into the future. How many of you can actually say that each day you give yourself a bit of space to remember the moment? This now, you watching me gobbing off. Yeah, because of course I'm fantastic and amazing. That's my pronouns, and I have to keep it up, don't I? Otherwise I'm fake news, and I'll have to go and join the dream team. So I have to keep up my pronouns, you know what I'm saying? And of course I do that by reminding you, so that you just don't forget. But what I'm saying is, as individuals, every single one of us has to stop, look, and think, okay, I am a man, male, female. Am I that? Is that really me? No. Do I trust them? No. That's where we're at. Otherwise, this gig that's been going on for thousands of years is just going to do all the same that we've all read about forever. If you study history, if you've studied the Bible, again, it's all going to happen again. However, it's only happening in one big area. There's a big chunk of the world that's not actually fixed into this this tryst of the three books, as it were. But it's not 3 books, is it? It'd be okay if it were 3 books. But then there's a 4th book. And that 4th book has slithered its way into every single one of the others, you might say, since 400 AD, because it became a written body of work instead of it just being the oral law. Now, if you can look at it that way, and that because I've heard elders of all different denominations say, we're not supposed to clash. We're only clashing because something else has been an interloper stuck in there, because it satisfies a lot of the hubris that's found within us all. It satisfies so many of the fear-ridden desires that people might want. I want to be able to have sex with everybody I want forever and ever, and they can't say anything about it. Or I want a harem of slaves that I can tell them what to do and they'll jump. Now, if anybody thinks that that's actually a good way to live, and sort of expect to have neighbourly relations with other man, male, female, then you've really not analysed the actual position that you're at by actually thinking in those terms. But more importantly, moving to try and create it and make it real. I mean, if that's your idea of what a man is, well, good luck to you. You use timelines here you need to be jumping on, or lass. But it's not for everybody. And no way should any of these ridiculous timelines be trying to drag everybody in it that can see right through it, can see what it is. The same people that told you all not what to do before, and then you did it anyway, now you can see we were right. Why don't you just try thinking, maybe these guys are right about a little bit more than just that? But why? Well, because people like me have spent the biggest chunk of our life working it out, and then working out ways that we can transfer that to anybody else that might be interested. We do know a lot. We know quite a lot. Not because we're smarter than everybody else, but because we're focused to that. It's like anything. If you're focused to working on a car as a mechanic, keep at it. You're going to learn. If you want to learn an instrument, you practice, and then more practice, you're going to learn. It's that kind of gig. You've got to keep practicing. But more importantly, just everybody in a day, just give yourself 5 minutes to recognise that the only real thing in this entire gig is the moment that you're in. Because now that's gone, it's past. It's over there, it's gone. You can't get that back. I can repeat it, but I can't get it back, that essence of that time. And then I can project into the future. But ultimately, it's a balance, because most people are dragging past, and then them that are trying to achieve something are just constantly looking forward. They're not even enjoying the now, which is why they need a 2-week holiday every year. Satisfies it so they can get back to projecting into the future, so they don't have to focus onto the now. It's a sad state of affairs if the only time you can actually focus on the moment is when you go on holiday. It is a bit sad if you think about it, because that's a reality you want to have around you all the time, so that you can actually relax a little bit and enjoy the damn life, even though it's going tits up. It's still a bit of an adventure. Think back to how boring it can get when everybody's just it depends how you attack this, doesn't it? I think, as to what you're going to endure as it moves forward. So that's basically. I'm sorry I can't put that together. That's what I was on about. What I promised, because it's just I can't rush it. It probably will be together next week, but it's just turning out a little bit bigger than I thought, because it answers so many questions, and especially if you're a secret society buff, and that you're into this knowledge. This stuff here is going to just. It's all a bunch of keys that all these secret societies are keeping from you, so that they can keep you. Yeah. Seriously, it's so important that this data. You really don't want to miss it. You might not take it all in on the actual live gig, but if I put it together well, then it's going to be one that you can look at, because there's a lot of data in there to double check, but it just fills in a lot of blanks, and which it's been doing for me for this last couple of weeks as I've been looking at it. It's just, so it's expanded, I want to pull bits more in, shove it, bring another tradition in to show you how that again works with this ultimate tradition that everything stems from, and that the battles that have proceeded from that time giving us today, which is basically that the white honk has been being chased ever westward for a long time. And every time we make a stand, in they come subversive, and off we go again. It's about time we stopped mucking about, stood up and said, right, that's enough. The brick wall's there now. You can't keep fannying around, whoever it is that's trying to do us down, do us bad, do us on. Stuff that, your game's over. If you're going to carry on with that, then your brick wall's here. Show us. Do it. Do your best. And let's just get it all over with in a day. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? Because this creeping about and having to listen to these idiots down at Chalker, Westminster, these idiots, the Dream Teamers, talking absolute bollocks. Yet, I've noticed, any news that's coming out that's important and that they know it can undermine things, they're jumping on it, claiming it as their own. I've noticed that in this week. And they're all at it. So they're filtering, pulling in bits that all those guys are saying, and making it their own. I've seen it this week. So they're on a major mission, these guys, to scoop up the only avenue that you're going to get if you want to look outside the propaganda and the bullshit. So yeah, be aware of that, because that's exactly what they're doing. I can see it plain as day. And not only I, others can see it as well. And Twitter is still the place to be in relation to picking up that kind of data. So if you've not got a Twitter account, just get one. You don't have to do anything on it, but just follow all the people, all the news things you want, and you'll be surprised what kind of data is coming through on Twitter. And what I like as well is there's not a lot of people trying to, make it look stupid by going to the extreme as well. People seem to be quite sensible in most cases, unless I'm just not picking up the numpties, but it's good. So while you've got it, while it's still free like that, crack on, get to it, would be my advice. Who's here? Lex says, good evening to you. Lex Mew says, loud and clear. Bud, good evening, good afternoon, or morning to those attending the Wise Asylum on this very windy night on England. It is a bit windy. But didn't he terrify everybody? He said, don't sleep by your window. I mean, what? Who are they talking to, these dipsticks? That was Telegraph. So I had to comment, of course, and just remind them that they're being rather infantile and retarded. Untitled says, hi Sean, everyone, good evening to you, Untitled. Slipknot says, alright Sean, alright everyone, alright Trev. How's it going? Paul says, good evening Sean and fellow members of the Wise Asylum. Yes, it is indeed. And I'm seeing quite a few potential outpatients out there as well. If they keep it up, it might be, we might have a few outpatients growth to the old Wise Asylum. So we'll not go corporate though, we'll stay private as we are. We're not going to take it corporate or anything like that, but it could become quite a huge asylum one day. We never know. So, Guitar Girl says, good evening Sean, an evening all, windy night here in England. It is indeed. Hello Guitar Girl. Lewis Dunkley blows cobwebs out on it. It's howling wind. Come to take away all the nonsense and the old magic. And rain with it takes away the magic. Starts again. Lewis says, did you ever look into numerology? Did I? I mean, it was a constant for a long, long time. Yes, I did. Phil says, comfortably dumb. Here is Sean and chat. Hope you're all well. We are all well, Phil, and you all well too. Lewis says, do you believe in source manifest as a triune deity? Well, interestingly, we're going to get right to the core of that when I do this other gig that I keep popping on about but failing miserably to bring to the table. I will answer that question, or let's say the data will answer that question. So it's not so much whether it's a belief, but we can start to look from where this idea is actually rooted. At least post-flood, let's say. JSM Radio. Hello to you. The Muslims are lost these days, I think that's supposed to say. Well, I mean, you know, I've got sons. My sons know Muslims, and basically what's happening now is, for the Muslim communities, is the young uns that have been brought up here, especially the females, I have to say, have basically said, sod that, I'm not choosing, you're not choosing who I'm marrying, I'm not playing this game. And apparently, the old English gig from the 60s is catching, and they're all having affairs. So they're definitely English. I mean, there's no two ways about it, you know. They're English because that's they were born here. My only concern, of course, is that all this input that we've got of these real backward fruit bats that are coming in, the Islam that's been birthed here, the sort of peaceful side of it, it's just going to get enveloped by these fruitcakes. And that's because those amongst you, your business people, are piling them in and utilising the slave labour side of it. So, you know, you Muslim communities, you've got the same problem we have. You've got you, the people, and you've got this business commerce side that's just shafting everything and ensuring that everything you do, they're capitalising on, as well as telling you what to do. So we're all in the same boat. And that's very true. The Muslims are in a lot of trouble because they're turning away and saying, look, I'm not that. That's an ancient culture. Yep, I understand it. It has value, and there's a lot of things in there that should be taken seriously, i.e. no compound interest, for a start, you know? That's a sound gig. The way they pull it in, though, isn't sound. It's no less and more sound than anything else, because they're basically forcing people to fund the mosques, or they're ostracised. So, the essence of some of the things are fine, but the way that they're accruing that power is no better than just basically going to somebody's house and thieving it. So everything has its problems, but that's because you've got the community mix that we all gain from our communities and cultures, and then you've got this commercial parasite that's constantly trying to work everything out so that it's getting a cut of everybody. That's the way it goes for all religions, all groups, all organisations, foundations, charities, etc. You know, once you get in there, it's all about pulling in as much as you can for the charity, for the group, for the organisation, blah, blah, blah. And then spread it. It's old school stuff, and it doesn't have a place in this new age, which we entered into finally on the 20th, if I'm correct. So that system of I'm better than you, mate, and it's not going to work for the new game. So you've got an option if you fix to that. It's going to go up its own ass, and you're going to start killing each other, left, right and centre, over silly nonsense. And that's going to go down, isn't it? That's where that game goes. That's why it can't move into the new. It can't get carried into this new gig. You've got the bigger fruit bats that have controlled everything through that age, trying to keep that control into the next age. Yeah, and they've done that by separating the world, getting rid of one ideology while they've formed a new one in the other side, the East. You've got the Japanese at the moment. They're really not having this game. And they're getting pummeled left, right and centre. They've had an earthquake in India on New Year's Day. They're really not going for this thing yet, and they're suffering for it. I mean, the Japanese race are a great race, as far as I'm concerned. And my grandparents wouldn't agree, because, of course, their families were fighting them. And the reason why they were so despised is because the Japanese can fight. They know how to do war. Yeah, when they decide to do war, like the samurai, it's to the death. There's no mucking about. There's no such thing as surrender. And that the Western mind couldn't get. Didn't understand it. You know, the rules of war, Queensberry rules over here, didn't happen when you met the Japanese. They were at war. You'd gone there. You'd done that. They were having you. And that were a big difference in how warfare were done. But when you actually get back hindsight, you can see that actually, if you're talking about soldiering and warriorship, the Japanese were amazing at it. And you can see from samurai, that's from that attitude embedded in their culture. But now it's fading. And it's faded for a long time, but now they're having to backfoot and backtrack and try and keep control of their own nation, while the fruit bats try and force them via earthquakes. So, Edgar Cayce, what were he actually prophesying? Were he seeing the results of these scale of warfare that we know has been going on for a long time? Most people probably haven't a clue what that is. if they've actually worked out that there's spraying us and there's such things as chemtrails and geoengineering. That's a lot for them to take on. They're certainly not ready to venture into scalar weaponry and scalar technology. But if you want to understand where that works, then you need to go back to Nikola Tesla, because that's the kind of data that he was teaching us. Of course, they took all that knowledge, kept it for themselves, and gave us Mickey Mouse science. You know, relativity, all this garbage from the usual suspect organisations, Royal Society, you know, Frankfurt School, all these mind-bending, mind-twisting operations ultimately signed in to the British Empire or the East India companies. Let's have a look. Lewis Dunkley says, do you know about astrotheology? If so, do you agree with some of its claims? Well, funny enough, a couple of years ago, I didn't really know what astrotheology were as a title, because I was slagging off Jeremy Corbyn's geezer. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute, I thought, I've thrown shit at lad, and I haven't really examined what astrotheology is. So when I did, I thought to myself, oh, you dumbass. Because obviously, what they term as astrotheology, I've studied copiously over the years. So, are you always saying astrotheology is a particular belief system, and it has... Tell me its claims, because I don't know exactly. Fitting it in a box as such a belief system, I don't necessarily know. But when I looked up, it covered a lot of subject matter that I've actually looked at in the past. So I don't know. What? Give us a couple of ideas of what it is that I might agree or disagree with. Probably a good idea. Goz gives it the 1973, the hat with the cowboy. Ooh, what's going on there then, Goz? The cowboy. What do you say? An Audi. An Audi too. What kind of gig is that? That's a funny face you've got going on. Anyway, Kerry says, love from Ireland. Love back to you, Ireland. How's it going over there, Kerry? Are they still fruit bat crazy? Goes in havoc. And the politicians are absolutely pathetic. You might want to see they're on Epstein list, because I've never seen so-called grown-ups act so pathetic in my life. Excuse me. New Pit says, Kerry, to it, thumbs up. Jace, hello Jace, nice to see you here. Hi folks, and he's got the old earphones on. I've got some earphones. Can't do them though, they do me easing after a bit. They crack me off. But I got some cheapos, who were well expensive ones, and I got some good old fashioned Sonys with a wire. I don't want all that malarkey in my luggles. So I got them. And you know what? They're absolutely spiffy earphones. I just don't really like earphones on my head. I like to feel music. I think it might just be because I'm like a drummer, but I have to feel it. Otherwise, it's just head mash. You says, I was just going to say, do we have a mod in the house? We do. We do. I think Paul might be off duty tonight. Mark says, good evening, Sean. Evening, Mark. You never know, says to mute Lex. The Jews reject Jesus, the Christians reject Muhammad, the Muslims love and cherish all the prophets. Yeah, but they don't. They see a different... So, a part of this data is that, like Merlin was a title. Yeah? So it were an achieved initiationally right position. Well, Jesus was also, from some Gnostic quarters, was a title. And there was one particular guy that actually did end up living in India. And they called him Jesus because, of course, he'd reached a particular druidic initiation right thing. So, on the one hand, they're not necessarily talking about Yeshua, the guy, the white honky Aryan guy that we know we call Jesus, which is why the white race sucked into that, because he was basically representing what had been lost. And again, so many of these questions, and the good questions, by the way, we're going to answer, or at least you're going to get references, points of reference as to where this stuff, these ideas have come from. And now they've just been so diluted over the years that now people are believing gobbledygook. And then turning it into a literal gig, and then look what's happening. So you are so good. You're going to enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed it, putting it together. But it's just as I'm going through it, I'm thinking, oh my God, I can include that tradition, pull that in. And it's just, yeah, you're going to love it. You are going to, if you're into this kind of stuff, you are going to really enjoy. And I'm so sorry I didn't get it ready for this week. It's been quite a busy week, really, not quite. It's been a good one, actually. Where are we now? Yeah, the three religions, they're off their head. They've gone crazy. The Muslims are submitting to the Sharia. The Sharia doesn't represent the Quran. That's bad. Not because I say so, but their own writings tells you what that means. That's bad, right? That's really, really bad. The Jews have been completely enveloped by the Talmud. But they haven't, because there's a lot of, most of these Orthodox Jews are coming forward and saying that we're not Zionists. We're not Talmudists. We are Torah Jews. There's loads of them coming through and distinguishing themselves from that, the Zionist side of it. Christians, there's a bishop, I can't remember his name. He's out and about saying, look, this is garbage. This isn't what the church was. This is just some kind of fruit bat thing, which has been formed since 63. So most of us alive today we haven't known anything other than what they changed in 1963. Which is why they can do this now. You've got rid of a lot of towns, Scott. They're all gone. Because you put them in care homes, so you get that cash. Oh, mate. That's on them. Anybody that put their parents in a care home that were demented, you know what I'm saying? If they were completely demented, then fair dues. But, that's the gig. That's yours. And you have to own it. Mew says, you never know who's lurking in the dark. Well, that's very true. But we don't care anyway, do we not? Really? We don't care who's lurking. We don't mind a bit of lurking. Michael says, here is your own, good evening to you, Michael. Lewis says, astrotheology claims that the core ancient religious texts. Ooh, good questions here, but I'm telling you right, I'm going to answer that. So I'll say to you, hold those questions. And I'm really going to try and get it for next week. But again, it's worth this being put together properly. Believe me. It's going to answer all them questions for you. And I won't have to... It'll just do it. Because everything that's been said there so far is covered in this thing. So patience will have to be the order of the day. Louis says, e.g. the Bible. Okay. Well, there's an essence here. No, I'm not going to do it. You try and just... No, stop it, you naughty boy. Stop it this minute, Louis. Trying to get me excited and start rabbiting on about it. It'll spoil it. It'll spoil it because it's groovy. And anybody that's into Celtic history, what Europe, what went on over Mongol side, India, Americas, you're going to love this. It's the answers to it all, and everything is pulled off that. And you can see as it lessens itself out, as it gets misunderstood, mistranslated. But then it might never, even if it's in its original form, been perfect. I'd say it's the mishmash of what they pulled back from pre-flood. So you've got your bad side, you've got your good side, each of them trying to regroup and pull this. But it just seems to be through these catastrophes that the universe does ordain that both dark and light are always there again at the beginning. Because of course it's our choice. That's where the battle's going on. If I understand scripture correctly, the battle was cast down here and it's being carried out through man. So when you're born here in an avatar we call man, your job then is to decide which pillar you want to follow. Now, if that weren't the case, it could get pretty boring, I suppose. I don't know. But the essence of that idea goes right back to the very system that I'm going to give to you as soon as I've bagged it together. I'm excited. I was pretty miserable because I knew I weren't going to get it together. But I didn't want to rush. Sometimes usually I rush it and just get half a tail. And that's no good. I want to give you this one in full because it's not just for white hunkies, although it will help us white hunkies because we have a big chunk of stuff missing. We've been led a bullshit and bollocks, and because they want us to suck into some kind of guilt that doesn't belong to us. Well, I'm not guilt. I don't do guilt anyway. Because if I do something crap, I'll make it right. There's no guilt then, is there? I don't hold on to it. So I don't give a shit. I'm not on guilty for anybody that were here before I were. It had to do with me. Maybe look into wireless headphones. No, I don't like that shitty stuff on my lugs. I don't like that. You know what I mean? I mean, if this bug phone, it's a bit crap, but I have to. It's there. I will not touch my face with it, my head. And these are shit. Actually, I might have to buy a new one, but I can't hear anybody unless Intel's being a bit naughty and wrecking my phone calls because it's been going on for about 2 months. But it could be the phone. Astrology is a relatively new thing according to ancient texts. Is it bollocks? Have you not looked at some of that internal stuff on Egyptian? You need to speak to Claudio, actually. Everything is based on it. Everything. Right back to the core of it. That is what it's all about. You're fixed to the planets. The game is to move outside of the control of the planets. That is the game. That was pretty basic stuff in history school, to be honest. But yeah, that is the aim you're doing. You're born, you're fixed to the planets, their influence, because they're only judging the negative side to pull you back to the balance. So if you're over positive, they'll be pulling you back. Their effect will be to show you how to get to balance. If you're super negative, they're pulling you back, governing you to pull you back to balance. When you achieve that balance, and again, you've received the keys from the garden, then the door will open and up you go through the heart. Doesn't mean that all your chakras is blocked and not working at all. But what I'm saying is, the essence of your capacity will be stuck and fixed beneath the heart chakra while you exist in the garden. It doesn't mean you don't get flashes from each of the chakras because they are working, but some are not. Some are not working properly. Some are not lit and not as bright as they should be, so that affects your magnetic field. That can open you up to the lesser negative stuff. Then you've got your masters who play these games. They work with these entities to their own advantage. So it really is, it's all about keeping yourself cleansed, your auric fields. And that's where you need trees and nature. That's where nature comes in. If you pick some up, find a nice tree, they'll take it off you and put you back together. This is why the churches, or well, they weren't called churches, but this is why they used to worship in the groves. Because it's an interesting thing when you get back into the original church. It all changed when the empire started through the Carolingians, Charlemagne. Before that, it were Merovingian or Frankish gigs. That's Druids. Yeah, Merovingians. They've got a bad name because everything that the Carolingians have carried out, history likes to present and put at the feet of the Merovingians. But that's not actually quite correct. The Frankists, the Frankish bunch, they were the original, what we call Christian geezers, and it were all basically putting man back in tune with nature, in harmony with nature, as the Native Americans would call it. It was called Christianity, you might say, once Rome took it over and nicked it and created it and turned it into something else. And I've said this for a long while, the original church is nothing like what we see as a picture. And the church itself was it was all being carried out in the monasteries. So the destruction of the monastic system, which had been going on a lot longer than Henry VIII, he just finalised it. He actually just finalised the destruction. It was about Rome removing the old essence of what was the Merovingian Christian ideal, which today we'd call Celtic or Druidic, and that was the original. That was it. Romans shifted it and changed it to something completely different, but it had to mimic it to a degree for the first 1,000 years. It wasn't until you got to like 1400s. Well, actually, no, Crusade times when they really started to shift things. And I think a big mistake was to put the priests as celibate. Although the reason they did that back in the day was because basically the priests were banging everybody's wives, so they were taking advantage. So that's why they did that originally. It was to go, no, we're not doing that. But then that puts you into the priests of ISIS as well, doesn't it? You've got to be. So it's an odd one to actually understand fully. But we're here where we are today, and that's what matters. And this is where we have to think from this position, not 2,000 years ago. You know what I mean? Forget that. Where are we now? And where do we want to be? Are we on that? Are we jumping on one of these bandwagons, these timelines, and going, I'm going to kill you because you're shit? I mean, go for it if you want, go for it. We did that all day when we were kids, and you learn. It's like, yeah, let's get on, let's all do it. And it took ecstasy to do that, I think, because up until that time, everybody was just crazy. And then ecstasy just chilled everybody out. I mean, well, actually, we did that, actually, because that started to show itself quite big in 80s, towards middle of 80s. But then, once that ecstasy was released, that was it. Violence and all that. I mean, that's true. The English were a violent race, a violent bunch. And that's why nobody would have ever even thought of invading country. And that's gone. Because all they were, well, they're not males anymore, are they? They're tufties, kind of thing. Anyway, that's me rattling on. What am I rattling? 44 minutes and I haven't even started. Tree's late as usual. It's alright, Tree, don't mind. Are you late? So tired out of this week past. It's been an hectic week, hasn't it? There's been some high energy going on. Real high energy. And a bit of news. So somebody provided me with the methylene blue. So like always, I have to test it on myself. So I took one on Thursday, I took 2 on the Friday and 2 on the Saturday. Because I thought, I like to blitz myself, mate. Whenever I'm doing anything, I think, well, we'll blitz it first and see what effect it is, whether I like it or not. So I'm always looking for an effect. Now, the only effect that I can actually recognise is that in the daytime, my piss is blue, and then in the evening, it's a shade of green. And that's actually the only effect I'm actually noticing. So I haven't witnessed any miraculous shift or change, but that could just be because I'm quite healthy. So I can't report back as to whether at this stage it's done anything. I'm not having any more now, I'll give it a while now. So I'll blitz myself, let's see what happens. It's obviously gets right. So, and then me poo this morning were green. So it's obviously gone right through the system. So I'm happy with that. So I'll have a break there, and then let's see what happens. So if I grow ears on my head or stuff like that, let me know, will you? And then I can put a bag over my head. Or mythological stories that actually encode information through astrology. Yeah, you'll be surprised. You would be surprised. And next week we'll have a look. But then Claudio's good for that as well. And he uses sidereal, doesn't he? So he's not playing on this nonsense that you get in your newspapers. Not saying that the sun sign isn't important, but it's the sidereal where you get to the guts of who you are. And then if you could go back to conception, that's another imprint on the stars when you're born. That's your map. But again, it's the map is, the planets are there to govern you until you raise yourself above that influence. And that is what the secret societies that we have today mimic. They're pretending they're doing that, but of course all they're actually doing is pulling you for control. And I've learned of a very shit gig this weekend that we will probably discuss in time, but suffice to say, your youngsters, you need to keep your eyes on these youngsters, especially when they're going to universities, because there's some very, very, very potent recruiting by Freemasonry, and they're using some bizarre methods to pull these kids in. Now, if these kids start taking oaths and then change their mind, right? So you really need to get a grip of your offspring by teaching them things that you've not taught them yet. So Treen's late as usual, but that's all right, Treen, we don't mind. Guitar's Girl says, look forward to every Sunday, but next week sounds like a belter. I'm sorry I couldn't get it this week. I was pretty sad when I knew I weren't going to make it, and I knew that by Wednesday, that there was no way were I going to do it. So rather than rush, you will love it, honestly, you'll love it. Meander V's, any opinion on Conor McDorey's writings? Conor McDorey's. Now that rings a bell. What's his gig? Obviously, he's going to be a Celt, isn't he? He's going to be a Gael. What's his main... Where's he at? What's his main part that he plays in that? Because I don't know whether I've read them or not, because it's such a long time ago when I was studying all that stuff. But then watching stuff today and ping, and I think to myself, I've studied that. But obviously I weren't looking for that when I was studying it. I was looking for something else. But then all of a sudden I'm thinking, well, I'm aware of that. I have an idea, so I'll just have a reference on it. And away I go again. So I don't know. What's his gig? What's he on? Tell your questions stand out. Use a cue at the start. Yeah, good idea. Good idea, Jace. And then I could, yeah. Although there's not too many tonight, so I can see. And when I start missing them, you know, if you put effort in to ask me a question and I'm not looking at it, you're probably thinking, you bastard, I hate you. I'm going to kick your face in after school. But honestly, it's not done deliberately. It really isn't. Right. Sense offender. The English have always protested the papacy. The English have, but they've never. The elites never have, because Henry VIII were actually given a new ecclesiastical jurisdiction under Rome, so it was still commissioned by Rome. You can't be a king. All kingdoms are commissioned by Rome, and then of course from that they could build an empire. But first they had to remove the king's power, which is what happened through Charles and James actually as well. Because James, you can say, but he was a Freemason. He set up, basically, you can say, the corporate trust system in his... Just give us a sec, because it's my daughter, and she might... How you, darling?
Hi, Dad.
You alright? I'm in the middle of a live stream.
Yeah, no, sorry, I've been meaning to ring, because I didn't know what time about you thinking tomorrow. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, if you don't ring HMRC.
Well, it's alright, when you're ready. Let me know. Alright.
My boiler's bloody broke, so...
Oh, shit. Oh, there, good.
Tomorrow or the day after. So I'm trying to not be in the house because it's freezing.
Alright. Well, that's a bit. You need to be fixing it quick.
I know.
Right, well.
He's come to me and they know what it is. He needs to order it. That's what I think the delay is.
Oh, I've never heard such nonsense in my life. But I'm in the middle of a live stream, so I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Alright, okay, bye.
Alright, darling, bye. That's my lovely daughter that's just lost her husband. Poor girl. So, boiler's broke. Oh dear. Anyway, right, what were I on about? Because I've completely forgotten now. I'll have to beat her tomorrow with a stick. He wrote the Irish or the Phoenicians. Have you any idea how many incursions have gone on Ireland? And here, back in the days? Tons of them. But they're definitely a faction of the Phoenicians, without a doubt, absolutely. But it's the Scythian gig that you really need to... I mean, how many times have I popped on and said we're Scythians? That's where we are, that's who we are, we could say it. The Allans, the Scythians. You see, all these groups, that when you see them and read them, you have this impression that they're not. And we had Europe, and we had all the way into what we call Mongolia, etc., etc. And there's always been this antagonist, the Arrow. So when we get into this data, honestly, you're gonna love it. If this is your game, you like this kind of stuff and history, you will love it. It's the Irish in the pyramids. Well, you're talking about Scotia. The daughter of a pharaoh, whose line did actually end up in Ireland and became the Scots. So that's the Egyptian tie to the Irish, but that comes after your Danann and Phoenicians and all that malarkey. But I have a piece on my website. The Last Druid. If you just go on the website and put in the search bar The Last Druid, then there's a short video there. I mean, it's about 40 minutes. The Last Druid in Ireland speaking about his order. And I think it was in its 70s, but it's still there. It's a belting. Because you don't get, I studied everything you could about Druids back in the day. But the simple fact is, they don't write anything down. Everything had to be memorised. And so their gigs were like 25 to 40 years of initiations. Because you have to memorise it. So all the books you can find is just people's ideas about it, or the current Druid societies leeching out little bits and bats. And so all the books you can find in the world are pretty much just mishmashing and playing around that data. You start to understand what the Druids is talking about, or what the Druids actually not talking about, but you start to get a feel for what the Druids are about. The more you become in touch with nature, then you start to understand the Druids. And so you don't need to read about them. If you're in touch with nature, you're halfway there. Just pay attention, would be my advice. Gary, son of Mick says, is it the Irish in the pyramids? Sorry, is it the Irish in the pyramids? Is it the Irish in the pyramids? What, you mean like over in Egypt? Well, they did a lot of DNA testing back in the day. There's tons of Egyptian blood here on Blighty. Tons of it. But they were kicked out, weren't they? People don't get this. They come up with these silly ideas that the white race is a new thing. It's the Aryan. We are the Aryan race. That's what we are. We're the Atlanteans. And obviously, it went tits up. But we regrouped and we had a massive civilization. That they call today Tartaria. Nothing to do with Tartaria. Bullshit. Tartaria were just a little pocket of land right up in the eastern, what we call Mongolia kind of thing. These maps that show it that whole area, it's garbage, it's fake. Because they're moving everything to back Russia. And again, next week, you're going to understand why that is the case. 3 Rome's. Okay, look at you. Pulling it out to me, you bad uns. I suppose it gets you ready. But 3 Rome's, that's the key to understanding why Russia isn't in the good books. And I have to say, we better start paying attention because it's fucking real. Right? So much of this subversion that's gone on everywhere is coming through Russia. So they're correct, they're not lying. And don't forget, Russia and all that were took over by Catherine the Great, the Prussians, the Holy Roman Empire. Not the Vatican, the Holy Roman Empire. But Russia is the problem. And the Fatima things that I've had a problem with all the time since I've known about them, are starting to make a little bit of sense to me now. Then, we're going to look at something, what would Winnie Churchill say about today? Well, that gets interesting in and of itself, because exactly what he said is taking place. It's just, we're looking for the wrong faces when we're looking for what they term fascism. We're looking for Germans. It's not the Germans now, okay? It did their gig, it wrecked their country, now it's trying to wreck ours. And America, and Europe, and Canada, and Australia, and New Zealand. It's already got full power in India, in China. It's not got power in Japan, by the way. The Japan are probably pushing the most as a rebel country, an able rebel country. They're not taking on the immigrants like everybody else is, because they know what it's doing. They're coming away from it. So, of course, these dipsticks are going to attack it at some point. We mustn't allow that. Japan is an ally to sensibility. In my opinion. It's a brilliant video of The Last Druid. Well worth watching. It is, yes, excellent. Sense offender. The UK has been excommunicated because of Brexit. Hence the foreign army coming in on behalf of the EU under the Kalergi plan. So, Brexit wasn't implemented. Okay, Boris tried to prorogue Parliament, which means you close Parliament. He wanted 6 weeks to rearrange everything, put us back to England. Alright, well, UK, alright? Let's not give him too much kudos. the blonde bombshell. So it wasn't implemented. It hasn't been implemented, and we haven't come out of Europe. All that's happened is Truss came in for 5 minutes, blew up the pipe, or took part in blowing up the pipeline, and signed us into PESCO. PESCO now means that the European Union is fully controlling the British Army. It's the one contract they never signed at the get-go. It was the single currency, and it was also PESCO. That was the one thing that these Isles didn't sign, which was handing over our military. Truss did that, and then buggered off. So Boris, it's not besmirching Boris, it's not besmirching anybody else in Tory party, so that they can still bring them back. That's the game they played with Truss. She was just a temporary little shit to cause chaos, in the same way that George W. Bush's Skull and Bones name was temporary. He was there to cause trouble and then off. You don't see George Bush often, do you, poking his nose around like you do with Obama, like you do with Clinton. He just doesn't do it because everybody hates him. That was in relation to Conor McDowry question, Sean. So let me just... I'm all listening in. Wait a minute, I'm getting lost. See, this is what happens. I get lost and then I can't find myself again. So Brexit hasn't been implemented. Okay, our military is now doing what the EU wants it to do, which it wants it to secure its borders. These immigrants that are coming here are part of the UN. You're correct, the Kalergi plan. So they're going to get these imps to cause havoc. So you've got them praying up roads, you've got them putting up flags and now saying Hamas. Well, Hamas means terror. In Hebrew, that's what it means. So they're calling for terror. I've seen some terrible placards calling for beheading of people, killing people, murder. It's just not on. This is just ridiculous. But it's a play. It's a gig. It's part of the game because these immigrants are contracted to the British Empire. All of them. It's the British Empire that's moved them around the world, not individual nations. Okay? So they're coming in here fighting the British Empire, not realising that actually, guys, you are the Empire coming to fight a people who were not the Empire, but the Empire planted itself on top of our land a long time ago and has fronted it, has had us fronting it, when in fact the majority of the English, the Scottish and the Welsh never give a shit about Empire because it meant you to go down pit or in mill. Yeah? This idea that the people of England and Scotland and Wales have enjoyed, what we enjoyed was a high trust society that we created by our own cultural habits. The system, the state that you're contracted to, has abused that by removing it and putting it aside and putting on their own version, which is what you're contracted to. So the Quran says, do not, you obey the laws of the Norse nation. Not contract law with empires. So that's where they've got you acting contrary. China's dismantling your system. The world's watching. They're waiting for you to do something stupid. That's what they're waiting for. See it, people. Back to you as an individual. I don't care where you come. You're an individual. If you were brought up on England, you've had the same opportunities that I've had. You've had the same opportunities that everybody else has had. Most people these days don't choose the opportunities. They want the free money. That's where they focus. And that's why you're now trapped to this monster that's coming in as they get you to sign everything off over to the Noahide. These immigrants are going to sign these estates over that they're creating when they set to come here. It's the old hours that are tied to the land that they need to get rid of and replace. So it's not even a white, black, brown gig to the elites. It's about renewing the trust system because it has to be consensual that they get pulled into. No hide. Or consent by the fact you don't know what's going on. It's tacit agreement. They're happy with that. That's how they were all. So I'm trying to look for your question. That was in relation to Conor. Oh, so where's your question? Hi, all listening. Okay. I can't say. I've got a bit lost there, my old China. Gulag is coming. Well, they're building them. We just have to make sure that it's for them, don't we? It's sensible. The playpen has unleashed itself and it's trying to put everybody in madness. But actually, we need to re-corral the playpen and put them in these super prisons that they're building for the rest of their life. Everywhere is getting the influx sent offender. Well, it's quite ridiculous, isn't it? But let's again keep it in check. It's mainly in the cities, isn't it? We mustn't make our decisions, life decisions, based on what's going on in a shithole city. Then we'd be as stupid as them. Everywhere, isn't the whole show run by the Jesuits and the Freemasons? But the Jesuits and the Freemasons are just arms of something much bigger. They're not the all commanding. I mean, a lot of people, the black, they go on about the Pope, Grey Pope, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, show me some proof that that's the case. There isn't any. And most of the stuff that you get about Jesuitism, and now, don't get me wrong, I'm not in any way, shape or form supportive of its current expression, but a lot of the stuff that's out there comes from one guy called Phelps. Vatican Assassins, a book that he formed about 10, 15 years ago, and everybody were blitzed by parts of its contents. Now, I looked into that. He's very fire and brimstone, so he's slagging off one bunch for being a particular mindset while showing that that is his mindset throughout the book. Now, a lot of the sources that I checked, they go back to older books, but so many of his sources, and it's a book that's like that thick, it didn't go anywhere, that he was the source. And I said at the time, I think the problem with him is he's just the opposite to what he is fighting, but he's as extreme as. And it wouldn't matter which side you got in. If people like that were there, you'd still get the same. So you just got to be careful. There's a lot of garbage out there, as much as there's a lot of sound quality stuff as well. So the Jesuits, the Freemasons, the Knights of Malta, all these orders are just branches or military orders working for the man, or the Holy See, or the families that are behind the Holy See. If you look at these seals, the first was the White Horse, pharmakia poison. The next will be many small arms battles. Well, it's going to be knives. I mean, in a lot of literature it talks about swords, doesn't it? But it's knives. We can see that. That's the favoured weapon. Now, what pisses me off is you've got these dicks called police running around telling you can't be armed, yet flooding the place with people that are going to breach the peace and doing it every 5 minutes. If that doesn't tell you that the system that the police are working for has absolutely no bearing on England, Scotland or Wales, and is not there to protect you, because what it's doing is facilitating the influx of violence, of racism, because that's where the racism and violence is coming from. It's being imported in. The police are protecting it, the state's protecting it, but they're making sure that you can't protect yourself. They want your weapons away, they want your dogs away. You don't think that all this medical stuff they've been thrust upon you from the vets was to help your dog? No, it was to kill the breeds that were here, like they've been doing with the farmers, with all the cows, the sheep, the horses, everything. They've been killing breeds and putting out ones that they've already patented through Monsanto. Now a part of Bayer. So you'll probably not hear the word Monsanto now. It'll be coming out in all different other terminology. But ultimately, the patents for everything that they destroyed in farming through DEFRA was in order to get rid of the old stock, so that all the stock that's going to go into the future, they own the patent. And I've been speaking about this for donkeys. Sense Offence says, no, not just Phelps, Franco Collins and others. Yes, I'm not saying that there isn't other sources, there are, but what I'm saying is, when you look at what's being put about by a lot of people, a lot of it does come from Vatican Assassins. Now all of it, I've got quite a few pages on the website covered in quotes from books, from people, etc., from speeches, copious amounts of it. So there's tons of it. Yeah. I don't even bring dog to the vet. No, I never took any. The only time I took my animal to the vet was when I got a female cat spayed. And then when I run over my own cat, I had to take her to get it put down. So that's only 2 times I've took my animal. And when I went to the vet, she wanted to take the womb. She said to me, so I'm going to take this out, I'm going to take that out, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And I went, do me a favour. Just tie her tubes, please. I don't want you to take all that out of her. I want it to be a full cat, and I want her to feel like she's a bird. I want her to wander around feeling like she's a woman cat. Because she is a woman cat. So I said, don't worry. I said, I'll pay you the full amount. I'm not bothered about that. Right, then I'll do that. And I think she felt quite good about having done that, maybe, and I thought she might offer it up after that, this vet. But they wanted to basically take half of her inset, and I'm like, no, we don't need to do that, do we? Let's be sensible, just tie your tubes, and let's be done with it. So she did, and the cat were fine. But yeah, I mean, you're vaccinated up to death, they've screwed all their food up. Dogs were healthy as 10 when they used to eat meat back in the day with Win-A-Lot. Do you remember Win-A-Lot? You just come in a big sack. No chemicals, no nothing. Everything healthy. They've just wrecked it. They've wrecked everything. And now you've got dicks go about putting poison out all over the place. This is what militia is needed for. If poison is being planted around in forests where you take your dogs, then you need to start to think about, well, let's get patrols going. And when you find them, make sure they can't do it again. Break legs and arms. You're not killing anybody. But if they're out there trying to kill something, yeah, England says, defend the land. Defend your property. Your dog's your property. Even though he's your mate. You know what I'm saying? This is where militia mind comes in. Things are going to change. They are changing. It's not going to get any better. The system and the state is against you. Start to see. Don't fret and fanny and go, hey, well, it's just not fair and I'm not having it. He ain't going to change it. Look after yourself. Change the way you think. Pull together people like-minded. And males. I'm talking to you. Good. I'm glad the military is struggling to get lads in, but they're making a push. Be ready for that. They need to get the white males out of this country. They need to get the white males out of America, France, Germany, Italy. Well, if you can get Italy out of Italy. Because they're not really big on invading folks, really, are they, Italians? Then that's when your wife, your kids, your grandma, your aunties are going to have some serious problems. And unfortunately, there'll be nobody there to stop it. That's the game. You have to get it to war. Because the white monkeys like the war, don't they? There is no government that has lawful authority over nations' people. It's the people that assume they have authority, and in turn governments make demands based on presumptions. It's the baby boomer mindset. You see, they don't think, they just do what they're told, and then keep their mouth shut. And a lot of my generation, Generation X, have picked that negative up. And so, born again baby boomers. And that's the problem we have. Yeah? You younger ones don't have to follow suit. I certainly didn't follow suit. I've never been a baby boomer. In fact, from the day I was born, I could see that the baby boomers were going to be a problem in my little life while I was a flea bag. And that was the case. But never mind, I'm all grown up now. I'm 22. I'm actually 22 in a couple of weeks. Can you believe it? Right, we better crack on because I'll tell you what, we've got some stuff here. Not what we planned, of course, but we do have some stuff. I forgot. Oh, so what would Winnie say? Hang on here, Michael says, I'm here offering an apprenticeship scene, one for a bricklayer and the one day for the poor young ones who will jump at it. Because there's no, but this is a major mistake. But the silly females have got rid of all the males now, put them in a position where they've got nothing to do, because the females wanted to put false nails on, put foreskins in their lips, look ridiculous, talk out their ass, and demand 6-figure salaries from their husbands. That ain't going to work right well for you down the line. I mean, you can play out now and have fun and doss about, but let me tell you now, you are the people that are going to be suffering what it is that's being put all around you. And it will be all your own fault, and your cries won't be answered. So, yeah, just a bit like everybody was dependent on the particular institution, and then 3 years ago you started to work out that, hang on a minute, it might not be your bestest friend. You know what I mean? This is a time of revelations, folks. We are in the apocalypse of the horses, and we're about to see the second one solidify. And that is going to change the way you need to think security-wise. Now then, Winnie, what would Winnie say? So Winnie said, there will come a time when fascism would take over this great nation of ours and destroy the peaceful and economic ties we enjoy with our neighbours in Europe. they will come armed with their silver tongues, and promising the earth, be extremely vigilant. Okay, so that's what Winnie said as a caution for us, and that's exactly what's happened. This next horse is going to show you that your trust has been misplaced. You've set your high trust ideals of your culture onto a culture that doesn't know what trust is. Right? And that's the second revelation that you're going to see when it's biting you on your ass. Alright? So, take note. Now then, this, very interesting and in sync with what we'll look at. The descendants of William of Orange include all royal families of Europe and are the beneficiaries of Bank of England stock. They are all Knights of Malta and combine their wealth for the goals of the order as manifested by WEF, Vanguard, BlackRock, Big Pharma and CBDCs. And this is a guy told by the United Nations Inspector. He says a reminder from Eustace Mullins. Now, Eustace Mullins did huge data dumps for everybody back in the day. And so much of what we know about so many things actually have the source in Eustace Mullins, who got it from, I forgot his name. I can't remember his name anyway. But I've yet to ever find anything that came out of the mouth of Eustace Mullins to be false, or at least not traceable and showable. So Eustace Mullins, I mean, they did try and besmirch him and make him look stupid towards the end, and he were an odd character, but he gave us a lot of information. It says a reminder from Eustace Mullins from 1750, there was a little changing of hands of the Bank of England stock. William of Orange, Marlborough, Spencer, Churchill and Privy Council Order of the Garter were the largest shareholders. Almost all of European royalty descended from William of Orange. Okay. So the Bank of England stock, the Spencer, Churchills, Marlboroughs, yeah? This is why we've been looking just slowly at Blenheim Palace. Because we focus, don't we, to Buckingham Palace. And we focus to everything that we know and understand about that. Well, Blenheim Palace appears to be even more important and suspect in relation to the shadow game of elites who now, in the main, are powers in America. So Blenheim Palace for them is just a sort of nostalgic look back at where their ancestors pulled in this Holy Roman Imperial financial system. It says, so as Clapham notes that since 1751, there has been very little trading in Bank of England stock. It has been very closely held for more than 2 centuries. The Bank of England has played a prominent role in American history. Without it, the United States would not exist. The American colonists considered themselves loyal Englishmen to a man. But when they began to enjoy unequalled prosperity by printing and circulating their own colonial scrip, the stockholders of the Bank of England went to George III and informed him that their monopoly of interest-bearing notes in the colonies was at stake. He banned the scrip, with the result that there was an immediate depression in the commercial life of the Americas. This was the cause of the rebellion, as Benjamin Franklin pointed out. So that's the cause of it, they say. And Queen of England, who received shares to the value of £10,000 each. Marlborough, who invested £10,000, he also invested large sums from his commissions in the East India Company. In 1697, and later became governor of the Hudson Bay Company, which paid a 75% dividend. Now, Hudson's Bay Company was huge in America. If I remember rightly, you've got that, what's that other place outside of New York? I forgot what it's called. Oh, it's like, it operates in the same way as sort of inner city. I can't say it. Anyway, never mind. You probably know what I mean. But the Hudson Bay Company is huge. Where are we now? Lord Shrewsbury, who invested £10,000. Godolphin, who invested £7,000. And then under that, powerful Lords of England, but even his long-time supporters were scenting a change of power, began secret negotiations with William of Orange. Wilhelm I, Prince of Orange, had been married several times to Anne of Saxony, Charlotte de Bourbon, and Princess de Coligny. Were a shagger without William. Today, every ruling house of Europe, as well as those out of power, is a direct descendant of King William. So that just gives a little bit more of an insight into the Bank of England. Then, of course, you know, you Spencer Churchill's, the Marlboroughs were the ones that really moved for this commercial system. They also were the family that took the bait from Holland to bring forward the Civil War and the takeover of the inner city, opening the way for the commissioning of the Bank of England. Yeah. So I thought that were interesting data. That needs to be in the mix, really. Nothing really to report on the new breed. I've just added a few flea bags, but honestly, it's not worth giving them any time. Now, the fib telling. There's some big fib telling going on this week, and shame on you if you suck it up. It would be my caution. Hospital surgery for the king and princess. So all of a sudden, the king and the princess are in Aussie. I don't think. And Queenie can't do anything because she's by his side. And William can't do anything because he's got to look after kids even though they've got 14 million staff. Let's pray that they're both okay. And Kate's to spend 2 weeks in hospital and won't return to the public. Until Easter, after Easter, she said. And medical announcements mark a new era of openness for royal family. ITV News royal editor Chris Hip, ITV reports. So, a new era of openness. What's that mean? Royal News. Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, has been diagnosed with aggressive form of skin cancer. And Harry has been seen without Meghan after Charles' prostate news that Kate recovers in hospital. Oh my God, the ginger bombshell. What's going on here? And Prince William set to juggle childcare and caring for Kate Middleton following her planned abdominal surgery. What utter shit. And they've got tons of people as a staff. When do they ever give a shit about the kids? I bet they never see them. It's just another. So, coming home for Christmas with a complete failure, they're off again. Prince William set to juggle childcare and caring for Kate Middleton following her planned abdominal surgery. I'm not doing it, Gov, he's saying. I'm not being the king. Sod off. Nobody wants it. There he is, the head of the big paedophile ring, ARC schools. And there's his love for children, look. And he says, no, she's not getting her fanny tightened, you little ginger peasant. Says the wannabe king to a member of the old public. It does look like those children there a little bit, doesn't it? But obviously, people are thinking she's getting it tightened. And he's been told to abdicate if he snubs Church of England role. See, I think this Church of England's the gig here. Do you know what I'm saying? I think they're the ones that have got the power in this gig, operating for Privy Council. And Prince Harry is excluded from stepping in for King Charles as he's ruled out of role for having a ginger face and ginger balls and having married an American yachting girl who faked a pregnancy. I don't think Harry knew. And Prince Harry withdraws from Mail on Sunday libel case because, of course, it would be time for him to put up the evidence that he's claimed. And he's put it off just hours before he was due to hand it over because the little tinker didn't have any. And Meghan's pissed. She's had enough. And New Year's vow to quit Unlady Babbitt failed after a few jinx. She's just said basically, fuck it, I'm getting pissed. I'm not playing it anymore. They're all tapped over there. But she fits in well, I would say. Now this is interesting. You must not do your own research when it comes to science, says Forbes. The universe is out there waiting for you to discover it. How are we to do that then? And then back we are to the fruit bats telling big frigging fibs Because paedophile is everywhere around these critters. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So after Easter, she's not coming back. Not having it. Now, interestingly, Anne said she's not playing out. Edward said he's not playing out. Nobody will go near Andy because he's pervert. Who's going to be the Chief Rooney fake-up? Huh? How weird are these people? Just... Right, that's enough of that. Now let's have a look at this little Flossie. This girl's a Flossie. Alright, Gala, 14-15, paedophile ring, William's head. I've done that too fast. Just a minute, because I've got a smarter now. I know I can change it. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, actually. Now, this is a party at Beatrice's 18th birthday. You've got Weinstein, you've got Epstein, and you've got Maxwell. At Beatrice's 18th birthday party. So all the usual crew, the blackmailers, and fit for all to Princess Beatrice attended the gala. This is art in 2012, raising money, with her longtime boyfriend Dave Clark. And that's 2012 at the art gala, which 14.5 million were collected. I wish somebody'd have a gala for me and collect 14.5 million. And there she is, 14.5 million, and the royal contingent was this year represented by Princess Beatrice, a daughter of Prince Andrew, the Queen's son, the Queen's pervert. The dirty little boy that he is. Andrew, honestly, you're such a naughty boy. So that's the Beatrice, but I wish I could find that video. It's so important that you see it. But I can't find it. Now then, what is going on at Chalker, Westminster? The Haggy Squeezer says, very willing to work with the next Labour government, looking like he's just had a session on heroin. Mass migration has been a disaster for Britain. It's time to cut the numbers. Those who say the UK cannot function without mass migration is simply scaremongering, says Sam Ashworth of The Telegraph. It's been a disaster. It's time to cut the numbers. Damn right it is. Get rid. Because they're going to just demolish every community that we've got going in here and turn it into something mental. Channel migrants given right to work in UK. Home Office grants asylum seekers route to employment in care, construction and farming. Now, I'm sure you've all seen these videos going about of these coloured carers beating the living shit out of grandma. In 2003, the Labour Party was taken to court by a lefty lawyer who demanded illegal immigrants get benefits. Illegal immigrants, bear in mind. He won the case and he's laid the ground for today's scandal of hotel and benefits for illegal migrants. The lefty lawyer who won the case was Keir Twatface. Oh, sorry, Keir Starmer. My apologies. The year after Starmer protected Jonathan Evans from possible prosecution over MI5's role in CIA torture, the then senior public prosecutor went to the Spymaster's farewell drinks paid for by MI5. Starmer refused to prosecute MI5 for its role in the torture of Binyan Mohammed, which delighted the agency chief Jonathan Evans. It's difficult to disagree with the researcher Ben Rubin's warning that Tony Blair is coordinating with the Rothschilds family to fundamentally reshape British society and implement a global digital slave state. Mass murderer there. Mass murderer! That's what they look like, folks. Not lizards. Just that. The month after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the two sides met for negotiations in a place in Istanbul, a palace. The men in the room tell Yaroslav Trifimov what happened and why an intervention from Boris the Blonde Bombshell may have been pivotal. The inside story of Russia and Ukraine's peace talks. Boris the Blonde Bombshell fucked it. And Boris declares his love for the other blonde bombshell across the ocean. And he says, Boris Johnson says Trump back in the White House is what the world needs. I mean, I've got to be honest, he's the only rhetoric on the table that's any good is the old trumpet. But of course, it's all show. Brexit has left us doing more trade with the EU proportionally, but on worse terms. That's leaving us worse off. Our nearest neighbours are critical for our trade and economy. We need to rejoin and fund our NHS. Well, just bear in mind, folks, that Ireland's been plastered with immigrants on the command of the EU. An East London primary school is embroiled in a row over pro-Palestinian badges, and it's said it may be forced to close after it received bomb and arson threats. Now, this would never have happened if all the schools had kept having uniforms. So that, even in and of itself, has been created in order these contracted to the empire can start to shove their will in all over the shop. Muslims are petitioning for government to provide them with Sharia-compliant student finance. This means anyone who isn't a Muslim will pay extortionate interest fees. So I think they should go to a country that's Muslim and learn there. Interest fees on the student loans of Muslim students will pay no interest. One rule for them and another for everyone else. Create Sharia-compliant student finance for Muslim universities. And who's this tosser? Dave Lammy, a Labour boy. Shadow secretary for something important. There you go. The black man and the cult. And he's in Labour. So there you have another shag faggot. Look what they've done. Look what them southerners have done. They're so naughty. They've knocked down another ULEZ camera. Oh, I mean, it's just terrible. What can I say? That's criminal. Damn bloody criminal is that, you know. I don't know. It's very naughty. Do you want David Cameron to come back as Tory leader? No. He was shit before, he'll be shit again. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is grappling to save his premiership, with some already looking ahead to his successor. Former Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries has said, this is no coincidence that the former Prime Minister David Cameron was made a Lord. Of course not. And this bag of shit thing is costing $1,593,535,000 to rent for 2 years. And that's 50 million a week, and 300,000 is the additional moorage and power costs. Who's getting that money? Full cost of baby Stockholm barge to remain secret. It's not in the public interest, says the Home Office. Breaking, First Minister, the Aggie squeezer Yusuf has pledged 100 million support for farmers in Afghanistan. Successful agriculture exports from Afghanistan are vital to support many family businesses in Dundee and across Scotland. Fucking hell. And he's very willing to work with the Labour government if he can get off the heroin, he says. So that's the UK, Chalker, Westminster and affiliated toss bags. What's the world got to offer us this week? China's leaders are less popular than they might think. A clever new survey unearths more discontent with Xi Jinping than had been assumed. Go on, you Chinese guys. Wake up to this gig before they wreck you. The dragon has got hold of your nation. You need to stop it. How China's collapsing birth rate risks wrecking Xi's dream of global supremacy. Because that's not the end game. They just want everybody to die, killed by their own governments and militaries on your own land. Go 5 good. Or 7 good, I think. And John Kerry calls for urgent depopulation. So Xi's crying. We've got Skull and Bones 322 Master. He wants more depopulation of humans. Take note, humans. Russia is attempting to recruit asylum seekers as spies and send them to Finland under the guise of being refugees. Helsinki's intelligence services have warned. That's what they've been doing everywhere. So they're right when they say the Ruskies are coming. They're here. They've set up shop. Conflict in the Middle East escalates further as Pakistan launches retaliatory missile strikes into Iran. What the heck? We're at it now. We should even get Corn back in, I think. He's in prison, isn't he? Well, he probably won't be in prison. He'll be in a nice hotel somewhere, like. And the US and UK wage war against the Houthis in Yemen. And they never even asked us. Did they? They never even asked us if they could do it. Because they know would have said no. They're not actually the askers of permission. They're more that we don't even want forgiveness. World Health Organization, who has announced plans to roll out a global police force that will be responsible for punishing citizens who spread non-mainstream content on the internet. There's your soldier immigrants, people. Who unveils global police force to arrest citizens who post independent media. You don't want to be a citizen, do you? The Vatican Bank is the only international bank which is free from audit and external regulation. The Vatican Library is also off limits if the Catholic Church has nothing to hide. Why so much secrecy? Well, why? Indeed. And Rothschild, Donald Trump, the blonde bombshell, is threatening to destroy the New World Order, says President's nationalism will destroy globalism forever. Yet, his little Oppo Boris, the blonde bombshell, the fat little murderer, potentially, loves Trump. There's probably could be. Look at them. What odd people. What are they then? It is. What do you do? How do you address them? If they don't talk and tell you, how would you address them? WF claims conspiracy theorists who question experts are more dangerous than terrorists. Oh. Are they coming out with a new category? Then, above terrorism? No, golly. No, then. It's a bit naughty. Very bit naughty. Now, I've put this in because it's very telling. Look at the signias. You see, Vlad, the so-called Reb. Oh no. Look at them insignias, people. Look at that uniform. And there's Z. Smiley Z. I'm in a bit of trouble. I'm in a bit of a problem with his own. They're not playing games anymore. They're falling out all workshop. Oh, interesting. There he is. Actually, the madman was probably one of the most sensible. There's two of them been sensible at this Davos meet of rebuilding the trust. And one of them, believe it or not, with that no job. Have we sussed it? Have we sussed what crack is? What do you think? Lifetime actors, these guys, huh? And long live freedom, cries Argentina's new ultra-capitalist president. And he says West risks condemning itself to socialism and abject poverty. And he did a 40-minute speech, I think, at Davos. Unbelievable, actually. And poor Geet, he's had to scrap his proposal to ban mosques and Quran. Oh dear. King said, hey, you can't attack my people. Never mind. Never mind. You can't do it. So that's what's going on the Euro front. And we've nothing in climate. Which means we've gone through the gig. We've got some videos, but it's actually... Oh, well, we've got a bit late. I'll come back to you and have a look. I've just noticed that I didn't set up. Open it up first, because I'm rubbish. And open that. Open that. And we should have... it's not working. Oh. My apologies. We haven't done so bad actually for cockles. I've not done too bad. Why is it not coming up? Strange. I'll get it this time, I think. Yep. Got it. So I'll have a look at what you guys are saying anyway. Where is oh. Strange. They're keeping low profile. They're evil Fabians. Distraction, yeah. Oh, you've done a lot of chatting. Army offered apprenticeships. I've done that one. Well, we dog only got a puppy jabs and hasn't. She shouldn't even give them. If a dog's ill, all it ever needs any time is a worming tablet because it just kills everything. Jerry son of Mick, proper way. Treen says, "Oh geez, June, what a shame for you, doggy." It is sad when your dog goes. That's why I never got another. Where are we? I mean, the sense of starting point of the hidden hand, says Jerry. Proper way treat. Oh. What? You seem to be very. You're answering a question, but I can't find your question. Sorry, Jerry, but I can't find you. Where are we? Dan was more royal. Charlie. Yeah, she was a bit of a bugger though. She was a bit of a get your kids off character. I should have been a boyfriend really, shouldn't I? I could have looked after her. Distraction. Yeah, but no. There's something else going on as well. And I can't work it out yet, just what's going down. Poor Charlie and Kate. Oh, I know, it's so sad. I've been praying all day. I've been on my knees all day in the Vatican. Just praying. Oops, Charlie and Kate. Oh, yeah. There's something funny going on. Very funny. It is a bit odd. Can you imagine if Greg gets on? Where's Ivan? Ivan, come on, you need it, pal. Get yourself back over here to Blighty and take over this show, pal. And don't forget, you said to give me Lancaster. And I also said Northumbria as well because I would greedy. But that's fine. I'll run it fine. We'll have a good gig. And everybody will be happy. So, Ivan, calling Ivan. Earth calling Ivan. Get your ass over to Blighty. Rapido. They are evil Fabians. Well, Fabian Society was set up in Adelphi House. The London School of Economics was set up in Adelphi House. All the capitalism you've ever heard of is centred in Adelphi House. What does that tell you? What is the abdicating shown? What is the abdicating shown? It's shown he never took the oath, I think. Well, yeah, but this has been a game, and it's in 1649. If we go with the fact that they abolished the office of monarch, there hasn't been a monarch since then. But if the Privy Council, the Church of Spencels, the Marlboroughs, were stockholders of the Bank of England, then there is where the power has been. So, as I've said before, you've got a Zionist aristocracy. They're the ones that have come forward as the people. They're running the monarchs as a front to make everybody think the system's still going. So, they're the beneficiaries. Yeah? That's how I'm seeing it. So it's Marlborough, Spencer Churchill's and all the offshoots and all the hangers-on. Yeah, but also the Rothschilds as well. Because probably the Rothschilds have managed to get the teeth into the Spencer Churchills over time because you know what these aristocrats are like for getting into debt while they're playing out with the likes of Robert Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Or, indeed, hoity-toity around the Dutroux affair in Belgium. Which brings us back over to ARC, Absolute Return for Kids, which is tied into the Dutroux system, which is the patron currently is Prince William. And Beatrice likes it because she went there as well, raising money for it. So they all love it. They all love it. All the stars, the celebrities, they're all happy, they're loving it. F1, all in there, backing ARC, the paedophile ring, that want nothing but your children. The minds, the soul. Allegedly, when the Trumpet was in office, he had a plane loads of gold removed from the VAT 1 camp. Well, there's a meeting every year by the big Catholic elite. I forgot, I have it up on here, it's a charity meeting. And his father went there every year and took Trump when he rolled it up. That's where they all go, that's where the power is. So whatever Trump does, he's still working for these OSC families, albeit coming up as King Cyrus. And again, we'll get to see and understand a bit more why they've used that terminology when we get into the gig that I'm putting together. Heinz Castle, formerly owned by Drew Heinz, is now getting restored by my son-in-law's company. New website, all the Heinz money and the restoration is being done by taxpayers' money. Surprise, surprise. So I take it Heinz Castle is up there in Aggie Squeeze, is it? Hawthornden Castle across the road from me. He does remind me of a Carry-On actor. Who? Who does? Donaldo the blonde. Twing says restoration of all the satanic worshipping venues. Mavis Bank House, another one being restored. Witnesses saw those in new places practicing satanic worship at 4 a.m. Oh, it's massive. You won't believe how big it is, honestly. And I only got a taste of how big it is because I did that 7 years. In which they wanted me to see. They wanted me to know. They wanted me to come and join this huge power and have all the trappings. And had I had been a week or so, I would have gone for it. But yeah, unfortunately, being fantastic and amazing as your pronouns does have its issues. And going being a dirty old man and naughty and screwing everybody over, it's not my gig. I'm sorry, it's not my gig. Putin the Black Prince. Trini says she agrees something else going on with the Royals. Yeah, definitely. Yes, Emily Thornberry, Jeremy Corbyn and Starmer, all members of the Theban Society, just to name a few. Correct, the only. Hawthornden Castle is just across the road from me, Sean. Who owns that? Shall we, Nicky? Well, if we get Ivan on throne and he gives me Lancashire and Northumberland, I'll come up and start coming up to Scotland and sort it out there, and then we can sort it out. We can sort it all out and blame Ivan, can't we? So that's what usually happens, isn't it? It's always Barony get away with it and King gets his head chopped off. Well, Ivan's up for it, so come on, Ivan, get yourself over here. Let's get crack on. We need some new Lord Lieutenants and the whole gig, brand new. Because these bunch of Johnny-come-latelys, they've succumbed to the 21st degree, the no-hire judge, unfortunately. All going on right under our noses, it is. Temple is another place where they do these worshipping old fine cars like Bentleys. Well, it's a good place for get some ringers on, saying, say, look, I know whether he's Bentley, give him a ring, get you on a court. I mean, of course, I'm pretending, I'm joking, I would never ever would suggest you do that, Trine, because I know you're a good girl, but anybody lesser might be thinking like that, you know what I mean? Right, so, where am I? Oh, yeah. When we feel good, we do good work. Inside the company that offers staff masturbation breaks. They've been watching Wolf of Wall Street, haven't they? We've heard of coffee breaks, bathroom breaks and smoke breaks, but now how about masturbation breaks? Erica Lust, oh, fuck off, come on. CEO of adult entertainment company Erica Lust Film has introduced a new type of timeout for the working day with half-hour daily breaks to normalise masturbation. There's even a private masturbation chapel in the Barcelona office. I might have known it'd be somewhere foreign. Erica started her business 20 years ago with the mission to change porn from within. Pun intended. She believes people should make time for banging one off in their daily schedules to destigmatise the activity and conversations surrounding it. There's no stigmatisation around knocking one off. Every single boy and his dog's at it. Stigmatising what? Oh, hang on a minute. Are you talking about destigmatising it for flea bags, little flea bags? That's probably where they're going with this. There's no stigma against masturbation anywhere. Oh, where are we? The Lusty Work benefit came into action last year and has since become a daily practice in the workplace. Erica, she's just a pervert, isn't she? We've always celebrated Masturbation Month, but to more effectively promote it, we felt like we needed to actually embody it. I wonder if she's got cameras up everywhere and she's recording them all. And that's precisely what they did. Erica explained that the company have a rota, and while it's obviously not mandatory to embrace the benefit, each member of staff schedules their self-love breaks. Self-love breaks? To avoid overlapping. As for WFH, they simply book their 30-minute slot. What? What's the FWH? I've got this somewhere. They simply book their 30-minute slot around the meeting hours and enjoy from the comfort of their homes. What? The office has its own dedicated space in the form of a small, intimate chapel. A chapel? Complete with bed, mirror, erotic paintings and warm ambient lighting to get in the mood. The secluded room is away from desks to guarantee privacy and includes screens that showcase X-rated movies for inspiration. And there is the pervert. Ugh. The company offers sex toys and lubricants to staff, which she noted needs to be thoroughly washed after their use, of course. Since the word spread about their unique take on breaks, the pioneers in playfulness, Fun Factory, have provided them with high quality toys to celebrate their first anniversary. These also include a personalised toy and some lube to use in case we work from home. Oh, well, that's important that you've got that sorted. Erica swears by the alternative breaks for self-care and productivity in the workplace, saying, when we feel good, we do good work. She noted how the book script had a clear shift in how workers lived and how some employees were performing with less energy than before. She thinks that knocking one off and throwing your life force all over its place is going to sort her out. I think if you had a Flossie in there, like a glory hole, that might get them excited and happy. But just knocking them off all over the carpet. I know we've got some towels in these rooms. It's disgusting. According to experts, masturbation can make you feel more relaxed. See, experts, they're full of shit. But yet they're saying now that we have to obey experts. So they're experts, these people. While it's good for creativity and increases your drive to get things done, you know what it is. They've watched Wolf of Wall Street. That's what it is, these flea bags. That's what they've done. It's a bit like flat earthers. They've watched Game of Thrones and now with an ice wall. It's not mentioned anywhere in history about an ice wall. It is mentioned about raised edges, but not ice walls. But of course, when you've watched Game of Thrones, it's ice walls. Due to what some consider a taboo topic, they haven't warmed to the concept. Erica believes they assume they are just doing it because they are an adult company, which she disagrees with. No, darling, you're a pervert. That's why you're in that game. So naturally, it's odd. If you can educate your team, company, to create safe, non-judgmental environments where all people can feel safe to talk about their bodies and sex openly, you might as well just talk gangbanging in cupboard. Who wants to talk about it? You're going to all get excited. I just get stacked, get on big cars and have it. That's all you big gay. You're not Roman enough. You've never gone in Rome, you guys. You're too pussyfooting around here. And sex openly. This will have a good effect on everyone's mental and physical health, she said. Until you start all getting pregnant, STDs, falling in love, you all hate each other, bitching and fighting. Girl, have you lived in a commune all your life? Or we're a nun that's rebelling? Because I'll tell you what it is. It's not going to improve your mental or physical health one little bit. We are challenging the concept of NSFW. What's that mean? And that's revolutionary and ultimately beneficial to our overall health and relationship with sexuality. They're all obsessed with your sexuality, have you noticed? They're obsessed with it. They're perverts. It's like the kids don't have an obsession with these perverts that are going into the school. It's the perverts going into the school that have the obsession with your children. And the teachers are facilitating it. And the governors. And they've got railings up. And if you go in and complain about it, they'll ring the police. So the police will back it up. MP will back the police. Government will back the MP. Crown will back the... It's just a cock up, innit? No wonder they've all run off and pretending to be poorly. Regarding the company's work, Erica says the movies they produce reflect their views on sex as a healthy, natural part of life we're celebrating. We need to look at the movies to see what kind of a freak she is. She also defends the importance of having women, BIPOC, what the hell's that? And LGBTQ plus people. They're not people, they're persons, darling. Get it right. So you don't even know language. You don't know law, you're a dumbass. Behind the camera in all key positions. Ooh, rude that, innit? And we'll have to get that in, won't you? Both on set and in our offices. It's me getting excited, see. By producing and financing female and queer guest directors, Erica has supported burgeoning talent globally since 2016. started a diverse online and offline, in brackets, community of sex positive creators and artists. So if you don't go along with this gig, you're not sex positive. You getting it? You seeing how they're going to play this now, Fleabags? Listen, if you're not going to go in there and wank right now with my toys, you are not sex positive. That you can see it, can't you? In Dressed Antics office. Get in your safe space this minute and think about what I've said. You will wank. You will wank on command here, or you're fired. The mum of two. Oh my God, she's bred. Oh dear. Poor Fleabags. The mum of two strives to spread sex positivity and is keen on more informative sex education. I'll bet you are, you little shit. One of the non-profit platforms, The Porn Conversation, encourages educators to help open up on the topic of porn. They're fucking teaching this to kids. These people should be... Now then, it takes a deeper dive into the topic by asking volunteers about their self-pleasure journey. Just perverts, aren't they? Like some of them backstreet Christian churches that used to be. They were obsessed with your sexual behaviour, and they were getting off on it. I remember my mate used to go to one for. He had a drum kit, you see. They only needed to put a drum kit in somewhere if they wanted to attract me, and they did. So I used to play a drum kit. And me and my mate had decided that these born-again Christian girls were far too beautiful to belong to this coven. So we made it our mission to persuade them that they needed to bang us stupid. And of course they all did, and we wrecked the church, they hated us, and we were the devil. We liberated the Fleabag girlies from the clutches of the perverted priest. And I think at one occasion I threw a shoe at him for being perverse. And this is a pastor, remember. I'm not going to name the church because the people that were there then are certainly not there today. And that's it. That's the only filth I'm giving you for today. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I haven't finished. So I'll do this bit again. It says it takes a deeper dive into the topic by asking volunteers about their self-pleasure journey, with questions such as, how did they discover masturbation? What were they taught about it growing up? How, when, and why do they masturbate? Do they talk about it with their partner? Partner? What if you don't do that when you've got a partner? That's their job. Or they're sacked. Family or children? Children? What? The documentary has been well received by the public. I don't think so. The pubic, the numpties, with many thanking Erica and her team for creating and sharing. Well, Erica, love from England, you pervert. Okay, that's my sentiments on the matter. And to be honest, I have rabbited on and rabbited on and rabbited on. And we're not doing any videos because I've rabbited on. But I'll save them for next week. Where are we? Something else going on. I've done that one. All going on. Yep. Temple is another place where they do these worshipping. All fine cars like the Bentleys. Yep, done that one. And Jerry's having a laugh. Go on, you Jerry. Paul says, looked like Putin was wearing a medal from the Order of the Knights of Malta. Well, of course he was. Oh, you're going to love this shit, Hindig, when we crack on with it. I'll tell you, it's brilliant. I like it. I'm enjoying it. So much so I can't rush it. Because you'll get it. You will get it. If you're on this game, you will get it as we go through it. Because of course I'm going to rabbit on as well, aren't I? Don't want to lag. Look like you. Do I get paid extra if I work that half hour? Yes, you do. And you get 3 of your choice flavoured condoms as well. Guitar Girl says, working from home, if it was April the 1st, I don't know. I mean, it's just disgusting. But what pisses me off is that's aimed at kids. they'll get that into schools. As a, oh, we're going to teach them this. We've presented this idea. The public love it. We must teach it to the 5-year-olds. Jerry says, a chapel simene. Good on you. Guitar Girl says, story would be nonsense. Laughing my head off. Deaf funniest story tonight for sure. Yeah, I know. It's just pretty serious. And you know, the sad thing is, it's going on in the schools, people. But Mum's too busy playing with her nails and her foreskins in her lips, unfortunately. They want you to use all your energy so you don't reach the level of consciousness by tugging yourself. Exactly! We've gone through this, haven't you? You need to keep your seat. Unless you're in a love relationship so that the sex is banging you both up, popping you both off, you want to keep your seat. You want to keep it. Especially males, because we lose life energy. And I've gone through this on live streams before. I've gone through how I understand the sexual union and how it's actually supposed to work. He says, but I were an absolute filthy pig when I were younger. You know, I weren't doing sacred marriage. I was just banging anything I could get my hands on. I were very naughty. But I've learned my lesson. I'm a good boy now. Because I'm 22 in a couple of weeks. So I expect cakes, cars, private jet flights, and everything. Might be right train. Yeah, alphabet people, FF sake. My mate got me a battery operated can opener for X. Oh yeah, here we go. She's covering it up, saying it's somewhere else. And it went off in the box, and my daughter thought it was a... Oh my God, train! Untitled's having a laugh. Guitar Girl's having a laugh. I'd end up chapping myself on that. Well, I could get rude, but I better not. I mean, I can't say it's a family show, but sometimes it is just if I get excited. Untitled's says, I'm back in 15 minutes. We'll probably have gone me then. Oh, no, you've got only 15 minutes. It's 30 minutes, Untitled. 30 minutes. You've got to pretend anyway. I'll never sleep now, laughing so hard. Candling effect instead of the Kundalini. Kundalini. You can't spell there in the old Aggie screens, but who cares anyway? I love you all, and I will that diatribe. I will say thanks for joining. Thanks for taking part. Thank you, mods. I'll see you next week. Where are we? Till the next time.
electronic